Today's topic is neurohacking the human hologram. This is part 2 of the human hologram. Thank you so much and welcome to the Hologram Podcast. It's sponsored and brought to you by Quantum Neurology Rehabilitation. Every major science publication and cutting-edge physicist is describing our universe as a hologram. I'm suggesting that we recognize and describe our human body as holograms too. For more information on this concept, you can watch my podcast, Neuro Hacking the Human Hologram, or you could read my book, Holographic Healing, available on Amazon. I'm your host, Dr. George Gonzalez. I'm the founder of Quantum Neurology. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to examine, treat, diagnose, cure any injury, illness, infection, or condition. It is to present concepts and possibilities that the listener or viewer can investigate further. These are not promises or guarantees of outcome. Each person's results may vary. Please take your health into your own hands, do your own research, and ask the advice of an expert when dealing with your personal health or life issues. All right, today we're talking about neurohacking the human hologram, part 2 of the human hologram. This is where we're going to start talking about the nervous system's holographic projection. This is a large conversation. We will discuss this today in more depth, and we will have other opportunities to talk about this topic and possibly have guests on this topic in the future. If there's any aspect of this or other topics that you want us to explore in more detail, please email us at info@quantumneurology.com. So when we're talking about this subject of the human hologram, last time we discussed the physical layout of the hologram, the hard wiring, and how the nerves pattern out. We discussed the 3 environments of the nervous system: the internal physical environment, the external shared physical environment, which we use our 5 senses to communicate in, and we also talked about the holographic non-physical environment in which we communicate in. We also discussed the layout of the physical part of the nervous system. We have our brain, our spinal cord, the nerves, and the nerves go to muscle, tissue, organs, and bones. Today we're discussing the holographic projection of the nervous system. This is such a big deal. This is such a big concept, and this is the part of ourselves that really can be identified as the hologram. We have to recognize that within this holographic concept is the power to heal the body, and the same power that the body uses to heal itself. So again, it's the power that made the body heals the body, and the body heals itself. Please don't get intimidated by some of the vocabulary we're going to be using today. I'll do my best to use everyday simple examples and concepts that should bring all these concepts together. So starting with the self-organizing and self-healing of the body. Our body has this amazing ability to organize, self-organize, and self-heal. These are all attributes of the holographic nervous system. The reason that our nervous system is self-organizing is kind of evident because when we start at conception, we see the sperm and the egg come together, and they create one viable cell, and that cell starts duplicating. Every duplication of the cell is identical. So when it splits into 2, you'll have 2 identical cells. And then it splits into 4, and you have 4 identical cells. And it goes to 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. And then these are all identical cells. But then there's something amazing that happens, and it's cellular differentiation. So the cells start becoming different than one another at some point, and they create 3 layers. They're called germ layers. And these germ layers are made of what's called endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. And this is the beginning orientation of the nervous system. So those 3 layers build out And then those 3 layers develop our nervous system, our organs, our body, and through a cellular migration that occurs where cells move into place and the body folds onto itself, we have an amazing nervous system that develops. I have a textbook here from Human Embryology, 3rd edition, written by William J. Larson. Just have a few tabs in here I wanted to point out. And it's showing in this chart here the growth and orientation, the specific self-organizing patterns that happen. So this is at week 22, and we can see the nervous system, the spinal cord develop, and then it folds onto itself, creating the beginnings of a human. And then we could have, I wanted to show this image right here, because this image demonstrates the lines. You see the lines going across? Those are the layers of the nervous system that we test neurologically. And you'd see the arm buds and the leg buds there, and those lines continue from the chest into the arm buds and from the torso into the leg buds. And that's how we segmentally organize the information of the nervous system. The nervous system's organized in layers. So we have the cranial layers. Those are the nerves that come out from our skull, and those are the cranial layers. We have our C-spine, our cervical layers, also called C1 through 7. We have our thoracic, our torso layers, those are called T1 through 12. We have our L spine, lumbar spine, that's L1 through 5. And then we have our sacrum, and those are S1 through 4. And, you know, I just want to show a few other pictures here of the organization. Here's one of the fetus folding onto itself, and you can see the organization of the nerves and the organs and the eyes and the different tissues organizing. And let's get a couple more in here that I wanted to show you. This is showing a similar image from before, the curled up fetus, and as it grows limbs, and the limbs pouch out. And then we have the, again, that same demonstration of the nerve supply lines going across the body. And let's have, this shows the folding effect that the nervous system has. So this is very early on, I don't know how many weeks, it says 5 weeks in utero, and it shows the different folds of the nervous system that generate, and the different colors match up to the musculature of the face and the neck from here. So a very cool photo to show how the body folds and then grows into what it becomes. So this is self-organizing. Our nervous system is self-organizing. And it's quite phenomenal when you study embryology and you start seeing how much has to happen, how many connections have to be there, how many connections have to be disconnected in order to make the instrument that we know as our body. It's truly fascinating. If you ever get the chance to study embryology, I recommend it. It's truly amazing. So how does the nervous system know how to self-organize? How does it get this information? Who's directing everybody and saying, you do this and you do that? It's not being managed by any one individual or person, but we attribute this to the DNA within the cell, or at very least we could say it's something within the cell, because every cell in the body has this information that in some way or somehow carries the blueprint, the building manuals, the healing manual, the organized outlined logistics necessary to carry out the building of a nervous system, all carried within each individual cell of our body. That's truly amazing. And we think about this in terms of the holographic nature of our body. If we cut our finger it heals. We could use the cut finger as our example, but it applies to the entire body and all its healing processes. But the example goes as simple as the cut finger. So we have to ask a few questions. Why does the nervous system start healing instantly? We all have cut our finger, and we've all have experienced and seen the healing happen. The blood clots, the tissue seals up, and it heals itself. And then in some cases, you don't even see that you've ever been cut or damaged for the most part. So what's going on there? Why is it that the body knows exactly where to send its blood cells and how to initiate all the healing on this level that does not require our personal intellect? We could cut ourselves in our sleep, or you could cut somebody who's in a coma. They're not consciously participating, but their body heals themselves regardless. These are amazing things that we could observe or talk about. But what's happening is that the nervous system is communicating throughout all layers of the nervous system. So every cell is communicating to every tissue, muscle, organ, and bone. Every muscle is communicating with every cell, tissue, organ, and bone, and so on and so forth. So what we're looking for is, how does the holographic nature of our nervous system allow to bridge this gap between the physical and the non-physical? We have this full body communication at the speed of light. And this was discovered by Fritz Albert Popp, a scientist that discovered that every cell in the nervous system emits light. The light is called biophotons. These biophotons emit intelligent light that communicate from cell to cell. So when we consider the light of the entirety of the nervous system, we call that, in quantum neurology, I call that the light body. So the sum total of the trillions and trillions of cells of the body emitting light from every single cell, we call the sum total of that light the light body. The light body is the non-physical you. It's your non-physical self, but it's actually who you are. It's your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your capacity for love and spiritual connection. All these things I just mentioned are non-physical attributes of who you are. So when we're talking about the non-physical nervous system, the aspects of who you truly are, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, and your spiritual connection, that's who you are. And that happens to be harnessed in the non-physical self. We can't cut off a part of our body, a limb, for example, and say, oh, well, there goes my emotion of anger or my capacity for love. We can't do that. These are non-physical things that cannot be taken out of our body and given to somebody else. So our nervous system somehow pegs this non-physical holographic nature to the physicalness of our body. So when we look at the light body is non-physical. It's a projection, and it's our life projection. So I talk about in my book how a rainbow is a projection of light through water. Life is a projection of light through our nervous system. So when we get that concept, it's a real big idea to understand that when the rain cuts through the atmosphere, the sunlight goes through that rain and it breaks up into a prism and it develops a rainbow. The rainbow is a projection of light through that rain. I'm saying that life, our experience of life, what we experience as life, is a projection of light through the nervous system. It's a projection of the light that Fritz Albert Popp describes as intelligent light that's being expressed out of the cells. So I feel that is what's creating our holographic nature in our nervous system. And that is what's housing the aspects of our self. And that self is pegged to our nervous system because it's the projection of light from each and every cell. I find it fascinating that our mind, our thoughts, and our emotions follow us wherever we go because they're non-physical and they're somehow pegged to our nervous system. So, many of these things I'm discussing today are my opinion, and we have to remember that God only knows what's truly happening in this amazing instrument. And what we have are concepts and just possibilities of understanding through the observations that we've had, the clinical experiences we've had. I've put these concepts together to help myself and others understand the possibilities of the nervous system when we look at the nervous system as a hologram. So when we think about the projection of light from each and every cell, that we consider that light is a carrier of information, and light must be projected past the cell. So when we're talking about a cell, the light has to extend past that cell to be able to communicate with the other cells in the body. And then what happens is two cells will cast light that overlaps. And it's that interaction of light that is intelligent, that allows the cells to communicate to each other. Now, this is how the nervous system communicates it bridges the non-physical to the physical. I feel that it's the light that carries the information into the cell. I feel that it's, when we're talking about the larger tissues of the body, we're talking about the body in its entirety. It is light that carries information. So if we have our nervous system and we extend that light past our physical frame, the light extends past our physical nervous system. It is this light that creates the communication field that brings the pain, the temperature, the vibration, the light touch, the deep touch, the pressure, the proprioception, and form recognition. Those are the communications that occur on the light field. So if I were to damage my hand, now the light projection will be diminished, if not damaged, depending on severity. If it's diminished, I'm going to be limited in my ability to receive that information of pain, temperature, vibration, and so on. I'm going to have less ability to have a reality experience over the damaged tissue. I'm going to have less control from intellect to that tissue area. I'm going to have less intellectual control over that area because of the lack of communication that's available. So I feel that this happens in the eyes as well. When we look at our eyes, we think of our eyes, or we've been trained that our eyes are these empty cups where light comes into them and we receive light. But if that were the case, we could stand 20 people or 10 people next to each other and they could all stand there and receive the same image of light coming towards them. Shouldn't we all have the same visual acuity if all of us have the same amount of light coming towards us? What I suggest is that our eyes are actually throwing light outward. And it is each of our nervous system's ability to throw that light through our eyes, creating the two-way communication, bringing that light information into the body, into the eyes. And that would explain why everybody has a different visual acuity, because each person has a different strength ability to throw that light through their eyes. And the same with the sensation of the body. So these are ideas that are not unique to quantum neurology, but they're unique to the concepts within the healing profession. I feel that these concepts are very powerful and allow for a larger understanding of the nervous system, which allows us to get deeper and more profound results with patients. So what do the cells project? What kind of light is the cells projecting? So I feel that each cell in the body projects the holographic image of you. One more time, this is a big idea. So if we take a cell, this cell right here on my hand, and we were somehow able to visualize its projection, I feel that this one cell is projecting the entirety of my nervous system, as is the cell on my shoulder, as is the cell on my big toe. Each of these cells are all projecting a holographic image of myself. And what is occurring is all the other cells are occupying the space of the common projection. So again, this is a big idea. I feel that each and every cell in the body is projecting the holographic image of who we are. And all the cells occupy the common projection. And that's a powerful idea. We think about the implications of this. We think about the implications of the holographic nature of the nervous system. If we could change the projection of one cell, we could, by nature, affect and change the projection of the entirety of the nervous system. So these are powerful ideas. And when we're talking in quantum neurology is the idea that the entirety of the light body is a holographic projection. And within that, we have constant and instantaneous communication across all tissue, all layers of tissue, muscle, organ, and bone. Now, when we talk about what is happening, we have to visualize what is happening within this body. God only knows what's happening below the skin. You know, we have to visualize these things, and we have to think, you know, what matches our experience and observations. So in that context, I'm going to present the concept I call the darkening storm. So when we talk about the body of light, it's like looking out into the sky outside, it's bright. But at nighttime, when there's the absence of that light, it's dark. And when there's lightning, we have a dark sky, and lightning pierces through the dark sky. But when we have a body of light, we don't have a lightning storm that goes through. I call it a darkening storm. So we have a body full of light, and then when we injure ourselves, it creates a darkening storm. There's a pattern like a shock similar to the lightning, but it's darkness. Darkness piercing through the light body, causing the breakdowns that we see throughout our body, you know, whether it's physical, chemical, emotional kind of things. These are the darkening storm is breaking through the body. We call this is a description of neuroexpression. Neuroexpression I've described before. If we step on the nail, our body reflexes out of that. And that is a muscle skeletal reflex. So when we step on a nail, we could damage the muscle skeletal system of the body, the motor components of the nervous system. The bottom of the foot could be damaged, so that's the sensation of the foot could be damaged on the bottom of the foot. When somebody steps on a nail, their eyes may bulge, their pupils will dilate, they may scream. These are all cranial nerve effects that the stepping on the nail will cause. We could have autonomic effects. We could have the heart rate shoot up, the blood pressure rise, chills up and down the spine. Those are all autonomic reactions. We could also have sexual dysfunction, the decrease of function to the sexual organs, bowel, and bladder. And these are all shared nerve supply, S1 to the bottom of the foot. So when we have an injury, any injury, but in this example, stepping on the bottom, the nail with the bottom of the foot, we have a neuroexpression that could affect the muscle skeletal, the cranial, the sensory, the autonomic, and the visceral portions of the nervous system. That projection of injury, we call that the neuroexpression. that is the darkening storm that occurs through the light of the nervous system. And if that part of the tissue of the body is not strong enough to handle that stress, if we step on a thumbtack versus a large nail, stepping on a little tiny stimulus, we may have that the same neuro expression, but it won't break through the tissue's threshold to be able to handle that stress. But if we step through a larger stimulus, like a large nail, that neuro expression will break through, and we will see breakdowns in the muscle skeletal, the sensory, the cranial nerve, the visceral, and the autonomics. So these are all areas in which the nervous system can be affected. And we call that the neuro expression. And we visualize this through the darkening storm of the body. So we use light therapy. Light therapy is a general term used for laser or LED lights of therapeutic origin that can be used on the body for this purpose. In quantum neurology, we use this, and again, to visualize the idea, we're filling the gaps with light when there's a neuro expression. So we use the light therapy as a stimulus while the actions are being stimulated, while the nerves are being stimulated. And our thought process, at least our visualization, is that the light is bridging the gap between the areas of communication that are not communicating within the hologram. So we use, in quantum neurology, we use light therapy. We use the GRT light. The GRT light is an LED device. That means it has LED lights. LED stands for light emitting diode. And we use it as a therapeutic stimulus on the nervous system. We're not making claims for the GRT light. We're using it as a therapeutic stimulus, just as you would use a hot pack or an ice pack. And it's a gentle stimulus on the nervous system that is recognized by the nervous system. So when we do this, we're using the light therapy to help the nervous system recognize its neuro expression. So we use this in conjunction with the neural recognition concept of identifying where the problems are in the nervous system. And I feel that using the stimulus allows the nervous system to help find itself and have self-corrections made available through our process of testing and rehabilitation. So covered a lot of ideas today, and I feel that this is a deep concept of understanding. When we talk about the holographic nature of the nervous system, it's a big idea, and I'm going to give it to you in baby steps so that you could take part of it, chew on it, watch the video a few times, go back and forth, because when you understand the layout of the nervous system and you understand these principles of communication, and all we're doing is labeling these principles of communication holographic. Once you understand that principle of how the nervous system is communicating, we're able to understand a deeper layer of the nervous system and how to affect change. So that brings us to our sponsor today. Today we're sponsored by Quantum Neurology, and you can read my book, Holographic Healing, on Amazon, available on Amazon, where you can read more about the holographic nature of the body. We also have a free ebook on lymphatics that you can find in the link below in the description box. And Quantum Neurology is nervous system rehabilitation, and we incorporate the principles of the holographic nervous system. And for more information, you can find out at quantumneurology.com. You can find out more information or find the nearest practitioner that practices quantum neurology near you. For doctors that are interested in quantum neurology, we have DVD, live, and online training available. Doctors can get started with our Quantum Neurology Essentials package or get started with our online Module 1 and 2 training. Doctors can learn the step-by-step rehabilitation strategies and get certified in quantum neurology by learning the strategies for restoring muscle strength, structural correction, sensory and cranial nerve integration, and much more. Please check out our upcoming events on our schedule at our website, quantumneurology.com. We also have home care series, Quantum Neurology home care series. My first in that series is How I Healed My Back in 2 weeks, and soon I will have the holographic number theory in that as well. If you like what we're talking about, please visit our website, visit our Facebook page, Quantum Neurology Rehabilitation on Facebook, and our Hologram Podcast on YouTube. Please like and subscribe and ring the bell for future updates. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and thank you for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.